early in the morning, heart of South Philly. Let's go see what the people have got to say. I'm ready to roll, baby.
Now listen here, Dutch. The Mets and the Cowboys, they suck.
1, 2, 3, go Birds! Go Birds! What we got? 302BIRDS, you know stinks. Go Birds!
Get your water ice and soft pretzels ready because you are now tuned into a 302BIRDS podcast experience. Proudly presented by TickPick, Nick's Pizza, El Diablo Burritos, and Klondike Kate's on the heart of Main Street. Let's take it to...
I hope you're ready for like a middle school breakup of emotions. I'm talking a roller coaster. I'm talking ups and downs. I'm talking the unexpecteds because Jesus Christ. The Philadelphia Phillies absolutely muffed it tonight to the New York Mets. So we're going to be having a group therapy session later throughout the show. In the comments, everywhere, let us know how you guys are feeling, all the good stuff. But before we get into any of that, because as you guys can see, Ballpark Tommy is probably the saddest I've ever seen. I lived with him for 4 years, and he is pissed. I'm pissed. Jack's pissed. Ashley's pissed. Everybody's pissed. The entire city of Philadelphia is having a whirlwind of emotions right now. So, yeah, well, we still are processing it. It just happened. Like I said, let us know in the comments how you guys are feeling, and we'll respond. But, Jack, I will go ahead and kick it to you, and we will do our weekly call-ins.
What do I want when I'm in the state of Delaware? Of course, El Diablo Burritos. Customer service always is serving your food with a smile on their face, asking how your day is. Their food is phenomenal as well. Their burritos are out of this world. One of the best burritos in town. Their queso is phenomenal. Their burrito bowls are amazing as well. When you're in and around Delaware, stop by your local El Diablo Burritos and tell them that 302BIRDS sent you.
Like it said in the ad, if you're in and around Delaware, stop by your local El Diablo Burritos. Tonight we have Tony. How you doing tonight, Tony?
I'm good, man. How you?
I'm doing all right. It's definitely tough taking that loss tonight. But other than that, I'm ready for the Eagles to see what we can do against the Browns. What do you got for us tonight?
So I'm pretty much, as you know, our GM as always, working the phone lines and everything like that. And we've obviously had an up and down season so far. So my question is, I'm wondering, would a convincing, we got a soft part of our schedule coming up, or so the stats say, would a convincing win against the Browns coming up, then we have the Giants, convincing win or two make the Eagles more likely to be buyers at the deadline for some pass rush help maybe? Or at the same time, would that make them more likely to stand pat? If there's a couple convincing wins, the pass rush kind of wakes up. The passing game, gets going again. Barkley's been fine, so there's nothing wrong there with the run game. But yeah, would they be more likely to be buyers or sellers at the deadline early next month with a convincing win or two coming up against the Browns and the Giants?
So I think we need these 2 wins for sure. We had a tough, first 4 weeks of our schedule. We should have won against the Falcons. We should have beat who we played last week? The Buccaneers. The Buccaneers. And I think if we get these 2 W's, I think we'll be more of a buyer than a seller. Whereas if we lose these next 2 games, I think we are going to be sellers because, if we can't get that pass rush going, we have the best defensive line, probably top 15 in the league. And if we can't get that going, then we got to get rid of some players. Because we're getting Devontae Smith back, we're getting AJ Brown back, we're getting Lane Johnson back. So we should see a different Eagles team this upcoming week than we have the past 5 weeks. So I think depending on how the outcome of these games are, then we'll be more likely to be buyers than sellers.
Okay. Yeah, we're definitely getting some hopefully getting some intensity back, some hard hitting back. You see Sidney Brown is practicing. He's a tone setter. I love everything, about his game. He's a tone setter in the secondary. And then they finally made the move to get Coop DeJean in there finally at slot corner over Vontae Maddox. So hopefully he can be that Swiss Army knife that we drafted him to be at when he was coming out of Iowa. But yeah, I'm expecting a different Eagles team just with everybody coming back, the different changes that are coming, like I said, on the defensive side of the ball, getting people healthy and stuff like that. And yeah, I'm ready to get this thing rolling, especially with this part of the schedule coming up. I think we're gonna see the Eagles team that we expected to see coming
Exactly.
into the season. Because it's as a Philly fans, look, with this Eagles team, it's Super Bowl or bust. And with Barkley, I know everybody was screaming, at least NFC Championship game when we signed Barkley and made those all-season additions. So yeah, I'm ready to get this thing going. I'm definitely going out there to the stadium on Sunday. So I'll be there. I'm ready.
Yeah, no, me, Dalton, and our buddy Brandon will be there as well. So hopefully we can link up. Do you guys have anything else to say about this?
I wanted to ask Tony too, real quick, and then Ash, you can take it too. Tony, to answer your own question, how do you feel about it? And then Ash, you can take it too. Like, would 2 convincing wins, one against Cleveland, let's say like a 2-touchdown margin, you go out and you beat Cleveland, say 35-21, and then you go to New York and you put another massacre, a massacre at the Meadowlands, like 42-28. Are you convinced after those 2 games? And then Ashley, feel free to take it after as well.
Well, that's a good. Let me see, because I'm kind of like, if they do have these 2 convincing wins, but still they're like, you know what? Okay, the pass rush is actually woken up. Bryce Huff is actually giving us something. I know Howie is still always working the phone lines. I could still see some type of pass rush help being brought in. I think you can never have too many pass rushers. A couple of the names floating out there would be like the Bengals, Hendrickson. I know he's on one of those deals that Howie Roseman loves. 2 years. I think he has 2 years left on his deal. Pretty manageable. I know the big one out there, and I would love it too. I don't know how that would work out, but I would love Mad Max Crosby from Vegas. If they kind of start, spiraling and in their loss column. I think we'd be more so buyers, because I think at that point, I think by that point, Howie would be like, okay, this is the team that I put together, that I expected to make a Super Bowl and challenge for a Super Bowl again for the first time in a couple of years. So I think he'd be right on there for some pass rush help. And maybe, and I know we keep talking about wide receivers, maybe a wide receiver 3. That's if Dotson doesn't show up. But he has been getting open. So, it's just, I guess it's just a chemistry thing at this point with him and Jalen. It's still early, but it's about that time. Bye week, it's about that time. It's time to get it rolling. So I think they'd be buyers with 2 convincing ones. And I'm expecting, definitely, looking at the Browns' numbers on offense especially, I'm definitely expecting a blowout win in front of those Rabbit fans out there in Philly. last offense in the league in a lot of categories. I'm expecting the pass rush to wake up in a big way.
Ultimately, they have to wake up. I mean, that's where we're at in the point in this season. I've always said that the bye weeks seem to come at the right time. When I saw on the schedule that we had a week 5 bye, I was concerned. However, it definitely happened at the right time. So I think the next 2 games are truly make it or break it for the season. I hope that we can kind of look at who's available, let's say in like a week and a half, and go, okay, let's see who is going to be a best fit for us moving forward. However, I think this season is our best chance in terms of who's going to be up for contracts and all of that jazz to make it to the Super Bowl either this season or next season. So they got to be doing something different and fast.
Absolutely. Definitely on that one. But
yeah, I mean, Tony, appreciate you coming on the show. Where can we find you at?
You can find me.
Where can we find you at?
Back to the we were talking off camera about the wrestling thing. I'm My Time Triple H99 on Twitter and Instagram. Different spellings for each. Big Triple H fan, big wrestling fan, as you can see. Got my baby with me. So yeah, you can find me at My Time Triple H99 on Twitter and Instagram.
All right, Tony, appreciate you coming on the show tonight. Have a good
night.
night.
Right, thank you guys, and I can't wait to see you guys on Sunday. Go Birds.
We'll see you then, bro. Go Birds.
All right.
All right, guys. So a part of the show that you guys have been waiting for, I guess it's just time to go ahead and get into it. Time for Phillies talk with Bob Tommy. Get your stitch.
We'll say it first. Thank you, Nick Feats, as always. You were wonderful all season long.
Even on his darkest day, he still advertises. Thank you. I don't think it gets darker than that, right? Lost to the Mets.
No.
Yeah, I mean, even on your darkest day, you still advertise for Nick. So that speaks volumes about you, Tom. Go ahead.
Yes. Today might be the darkest day in America. It might be one of the darkest days. Is the only other there have been two other days that are darker in America. 1986 when the Mets won and 1969 when the Mets won the World Series. There's the only 2 other years that America truly had their darkest of days. Evil won out today. I can't say anything different than evil won out. Now, Jesus Christ died on Good Friday. We always say that's the darkest day of the world. If the Mets win this World Series, it will be the new darkest day of the world. The season had such hope, Dutch. They were the hottest team in baseball out of the gate, constantly reaching the next 10 win mark. They're first to 20, first to 30, first to 40, first to 50, 60, 70, 80, 90. And then disaster. There was the quadruple doink with Ben Simmons not guarding Kawhi Leonard even close enough, apparently. There's been the Penguins just tranching us since 2010 or since the Giroux shift. There's been the Bruins just absolutely killing the Flyers since 2011. And the Eagles had such high hopes last year. We're 10-1 and get absolutely spanked against Tampa Bay. Hey, the Union lose on the same day the Phillies lose the World Series in 22. We can't have nice things. Milwaukee would have won back-to-back championships by now. Any other franchise or city in America would have won multiple championships by now. And instead, it's year after year of failure. Year after year of coming up short. Year after year of never winning a championship. Year after year of high expectations with low results. I don't know what the Phillies did in a past life to get here, but it's not good. And we can blame a lot of people. Rob Thompson probably shouldn't have sent Hoffman out for a second inning. But Dave Dombrowski, his only big moves at the trade deadline were Estevez and Hayes. Hayes looks like, if you ever see Major League, like Willie Mays Hayes at the beginning of the movie, where he just pops up or strikes out. Now, Estevez he's a home run giving up machine. I mean, you gave away Sir Anthony, who was lights out for Baltimore in a non-ninth inning situation, which is what he was before this season, and we tried to force him into a closer role that he wasn't. He would have been great for a situation like this. Taiwan's an absolute disaster. His new name is Scheduled Loss.
Scheduled loss.
Like, I don't know where to go, like, with this team. That, like, I saw it when we were kids. Like, they in 07 was the first time they won or made it to the playoffs since 93. Then in 08 they finally won it all. Then 09 they lost in the World Series. 10 they lost the NLCS. 11 they lost the NLDS, and then 2012 was the first year of 10 straight years of not making the playoffs. Like, it that's the way this team's trending right now. I can see 10 years now of never seeing Red October again. 10
Wow.
years of never getting back to where we were. 10 years, Dutch. That's why this hurts so much. I know what that pain's like, of year after year, getting to April, hoping for a change, and it never happening. Never happening for 10 years. And, like, they may never, they might not get back for 10 years. And it's going to be the saddest thing. Like, I hope and pray for this team all the time. And I have a bunch of Mets fans that are just coming across my screen. I never want to hear Philly fans are scumbags. Never want to hear Philly fans are classless, because you know what, they deserved every fuck the Mets the other night, because I'm seeing fuck the Phillies. I'm smoking that Phillies pack. You know what? You're all a bunch of classless clowns. Every single
It's how it
one.
is. It's a sport. It's a rivalry. And unfortunately, we got the shitty end of the wishbone this time.
We always do. We never.
Yeah, we always do. You're right, Tom. I mean, especially the 2018 was a fucking fluke in a lot of ways. And when people used to say that, I used to say, what? You're not a real fan. There's no way. And now looking back on it, when you look at this stretch that they've had since really 2018, when the Super Bowl first came, and then all the stuff that happened after over the past 8 years, let's say, right? They've gotten the shitty end of the stick more times, a lot more times than the good end of the stick. Tom's right. And this one just hurts so much because it's losing to the Mets. It's losing to the Mets in the first round of the playoffs that you're playing in. Not the first round of the playoffs, but you guys get what I'm saying. You had the bye. You're supposed to come out. You're supposed to show up. And after 13 years, you get this National League divisional championship or whatever. You're the champion, or regular season most wins, whatever it was. First time in 13 years. All for what? Wasted season. Wasted all the memories this year. They'll still exist, but for the next 2 or 3 weeks, wasted. People aren't going to want to think about the Phillies. People aren't going to want to talk about the Phillies. And that's going to be for a little bit now, especially with the way that they would have went out. Yeah, I've thought about ownership. I think sometimes ownership gets a bad rap with players. But now that Tom's talked about it, I'm with him. on it. Sometimes I think you can't blame ownership on players' execution is what I'm trying to say. Like a team signing a guy, they're just making a gamble. But none of them showed up. None of the guys that they brought in, none of the guys that they had on the team. A lot of people were like Brendan was saying over the Trey Turner contract. That's something to talk about too. They're a cluster.
Trey Turner has turned into a $300 million disaster. Here, we signed him to be everything that we saw on Team USA during that World Baseball Classic that we all got excited about. We're like, this guy's coming to the Phillies. This is it. He's the final piece to bring us to the promised land after the 2022 season. We all thought this is it, and instead it's been swinging a miss in the dirt, swinging a miss 50 feet off the plate. He's been a giant disaster. He can't field. I think he led the league in errors at shortstop. I really do. Somebody can fact check me on that. I really don't give a shit. It's a very emotional night. I'm going off of pure emotion.
I get it, man. They're a disgrace tonight. And honestly, pretty much anymore every night. It feels like you just get, and I said to Alyssa, I said it today because I had a bad feeling. I really would have wished that they could have at least brought it back to Philadelphia for some kind of closure. You know what I mean? So at least the fans got a chance to say goodbye. Yeah, it would have sucked to lose in Philadelphia, but at least for God's sake, force a game 5. They couldn't even do that. Mets fans are going to be able to talk about it all year. And yeah, they're the hottest team in baseball, this and that. But if the Phillies going to beat this team, even if they somehow made it out of this series on some kind of a fluke thing, you know what I mean? Crazy shit. They get out of this game unexpectedly, and then for some reason they win the next game at home. I know you're not confident. I know I'm not confident with the way that they batted this series. I mean, they just looked lost. They looked like they didn't know what they were doing. And I totally understand Tom's frustration. I totally understand his pain. I know I bust his balls a lot because he's my buddy. And he's like, truthfully, the best Phillies fan I know. He's the way that I am with the Eagles for perspective. But I get why him and all my other true passionate Phillies sports fans, like the Phillies fans, that whole crowd, they're gut-wrenched. They're like, this is the worst possible way you could have went out.
It was a whimper. It's like how we were all pissed after the way the Eagles lost to Tampa Bay. Like, you didn't even show like you fought. You didn't even look like you were trying. And like the only guy, and you know who gets way too much crap, Nick Castellanos, is that guy tried. He got us our game-winning hit. We booed him, and you know what? Bullying worked the other night on Sunday, but a lot of other guys need to be bullied just out of this town. Taiwan needs to be bullied out. Bohm needs to be bullied out. I'm over the crybaby bullshit. That dude needs to grow a pair. Like, grow up, dude. You're 28. You're making millions of dollars to go play a kid's game. And grow up. Stop crying because you didn't get your way. Stop crying because even though the team's doing well, you're not doing well. Oh, you know what? Be a teammate. Be an adult. That's what this is all about. And you know what? Instead, you put your pride and your selfishness ahead of the team. I'm over him. I'm over not Castellanos. Yes, I'm over Turner's contract, like Brandon said. I'm over Marsh. He can go bark his way out of here because you know what? He didn't stay loose and sexy like we all were saying at the beginning of the season. He got tight and close. And you know what? He sucked. Taze was a disaster. Estevez was a disaster. Hoffman came up small this year. Alvarado, I don't know what happened. He disappeared for 30 days. And you know what? I hope everything's okay with him. He's such a great guy. He was great for us the last 2 years. I don't know what happened to him. I hope he finds his peace in the offseason and comes back to the old Alvarado. Ranger, unfortunately, his back gave out. But you know what? If there's one guy I can cheer on tonight, you know what? He dug deep tonight. His back has been totally screwed up for half the season now. Now, hasn't been able to be lights out like he was beginning of the season because of his back injury. And you know what he said? He said, "Fuck it, I'm putting the team on my back." And you know what? He gave me five and a third, 5 2/3, something like that. I think it was 5 1/3 innings tonight on a bad back, no runs, just absolutely making the Mets look silly. That's what Ranger did tonight. He's the only guy him and Wheeler and maybe Castellanos and Harper. Those are the 4 guys I want back, and everyone else you can honestly replace. Nola was just serving him up yesterday. Hey, he can go.
Yeah, he just looks like he doesn't have it anymore, too. And he's declining at his age. And at this point, it's just like you might as well sell and get what he's worth.
Sanchez, the problem is he has too big of a contract. They're not going to be able to trade that contract. Yeah. Sanchez was good. You can keep Sanchez. I really don't know who I would keep on this team. Like, there's a lot I would just sell. Rojas is a bomb. He made one great catch against Atlanta last year in the playoffs, and that's about all he's contributed to this team. Sure, he's fast, but you know what? Cal Stevenson's fast. Cal Stevenson's a great defender. Cal Stevenson can actually get you a single every now and again. I would have much rather seen Cal Stevenson in this series than Hayes or Rojas. I don't know why on God's green earth he was left off this playoff roster. I don't know who in God's name left him off this playoff roster. I don't know who. I don't know who in their right mind did that.
Yeah, a lot of pain as far as Phillies go. I won't make Tom, like the Phillies did with Ranger Suarez tonight, go any longer than he should. Take him out when he's at the best of his game, just like Ranger. Tom, thank you for giving us all you got this season. Sorry that the team can't say that they really did the same, except for those 4 guys. I do like what you said with them. That's a good take. All right, guys, let's get into a different part of the show. Let's get into our Eagles talk. So a lot of fans were blaming the one Phillies loss on Nick Sirianni, which I personally think is a little bit wild. I am one all for jokes. I am one all for ball busting, but let the man enjoy a baseball game, in my opinion. Like the fact that you saw some drunk fans being like, "Come on, Nick, do something." Like, it's funny to an extent, but you got to let the guy be able to enjoy himself in his personal life. Tom brought up a good point. Or no, it was Sean Smith backstage. Our producer brought up a great point. And before the show, he actually sent us an article. And I didn't know about this. So Nick Sirianni and Jalen Hurts, we knew about their body language in the offseason and that there was a little bit awkwardness. We could definitely see it in the body language, like I said. But there was never any confirmed tiff or argument that they had. And now there's an article coming out that apparently these two met up on the bye week and said, okay, what do we need to do to get back on track? What do we need to do to figure this shit out? Because it ain't working right now. It ain't. We ain't doing what we did in 2022. We're declining. What do we need to make sure we do to not end up like the Phillies? Not to kick a horse while it's down, but might as well with the Phillies, right? Point being, I do like that Nick Sirianni did that. I heard it today. The Mets, Lindor, called a meeting with the team when they were the worst team in baseball. So maybe there's something to be said for that in sports. We'll see how it goes. Because I'll say this. I'm tired of the lip service in everything in this city. I'm tired of the players, the coaches, and the Phillies, and the Eagles, and the Sixers. The only team that I would say I'm not tired with the lip service from, like Ballpark said, is the freaking Flyers. The Flyers are the one bright spot of the city, which premiere on Friday. We'll get to them at the end. We're going to save the best for last tonight. But the one bright spot of the city right now is the Flyers. Everybody else, I'm tired of the lip service from. So the Eagles are safe for now, but Nick Sirianni and the Eagles are all on thin ice as far as I'm concerned, because you got to figure it out. I mean, now you need to win this Sunday. Like everybody's talking about it for the Eagles needing to win. No, you need to win so the fucking city doesn't burn down this Sunday. Like you need to win so there's not a public service announcement and the mayor is calling people up saying, send in National Guard, because Philly's going to go crazy. The fans are going to go nuts. And I just don't want to see that. I don't want to see us depressed like that. I don't want to see us upset. I don't want to see the wind taken out of our sails. And that's sometimes the beautiful part of Philly sports is when one team is down, another one has the chance to pick the other one up. So we will see if the Eagles will answer when their number is called this Sunday. When Jack and I are there, I mean, early morning on Sunday, right, Jack?
Yes, sir. We'll be there. We're not going to the game, but we'll be there to tailgate. But yeah, I mean, this is something Sirianni and Jalen Hurts should have already talked with each other preseason or, during the offseason, because that is probably the most important relationship to have is the quarterback and the head coach. Quarterback and center is also pretty impressive, or pretty key to have the relationship with. But I mean, it's about damn time, because what we were doing the past 9 games, talking about last season, it's not working. We have one of the best rosters on paper. We have Saquon Barkley, we have AJ Brown, Devontae Smith. We should not be struggling like we are. Granted, the first 4 weeks, we had injuries, but we should not be struggling with this team. This team has the easiest schedule, or the 9th easiest schedule this season. So we got to figure it out. This game against the Browns is a key game for us to win, to get the juices, coming back alive and, pushing forward through the season. But I mean, Sirianni's back. We already talked about the Phillies. I don't really want to talk about it because it just, even though Tommy doesn't think it makes me mad, it makes me mad that we had, I wouldn't say a historical season this year, but I mean,
We had a historical collapse.
A historical expectation, and then, like Tom said, an even more historical collapse.
Yeah, brings me back to 1964, where they lost a 13-game lead to St. Louis.
But yeah, I mean, that's all I got to say. Moving on. Let's get this rolling.
Tom, you got anything to say about this?
Just, I'm sorry, Jack. I lashed out at you. I love you.
I know.
You know.
Oh,
trust me, I know. Emotions do crazy things for sure.
Exactly.
Well, hey, that's a good pivot into our next topic. Talking about some undirected hate, but rather with these teams, I think it's more direct hate at these teams. This was actually a topic that some people thought of in our group chat that I thought was really cool. Does any team, and I'll let you guys take it too after me, because I'm going to say my first one. Does any team get unnecessary hate or too much hate? I'll start with this. I'll say the Yankees. The Yankees are probably, like, when you talk about sports teams in America, like when you think of probably the first 3 sports teams that are most represented, their merchandise is sold throughout the U.S. the most, it's probably Yankees, Lakers, Cowboys, the big 3, the trio of awful bandwagon fans. But I'll say the Yankees, I think, kind of get an unfair rap. I think that the diehard Yankees fans are actually some people that I can respect. Some of them are true baseball fans, a gentleman's gentleman. So when I was thinking about this today, I would say Yankees fans get some unnecessary hate. But I don't think anybody gets it the same way as the Eagles or the same way as the Eagles, except for the Cowboys. The only team I think that can actually say that they're up there that take the most shit from teams in any sport, in any aspect, is probably the Cowboys, in my opinion, because Cowboys fans got to put up with a lot of shit. And in a lot of ways, probably even more than the Eagles, because they are an easier target. Fucking losers. Sorry.
Go ahead, Jack. I'll let you go first.
Yeah, I mean, I would say the Lakers are a legendary organization. They've won a lot of championships and things like that. But I will say this. I think I can guarantee you this season that the Los Angeles Lakers will get the most hate than they've ever had before, with Bronny James and LeBron James on the team, because Bronny James should not be in the NBA right now. He had one season. He played 8 or 9 games and didn't really do much in those games. So LeBron James, everyone has to listen to what he has to say. He's the main reason. We know this, that Bronny's on the Lakers right now, because I guarantee you LeBron James will retire next season, after this season. So I think the Lakers are probably going to get the most hate this season for sure. But I mean, it's like, I feel like any division rival, there's always some kind of hate. Like it says that caption below. We saw the Padres and the Dodgers, battle for LA or battle for California. We saw how much they hate each other. So, I mean, I think everyone, but I will say, I think every sport in any division, there's hate no matter what. And I do think that the Cowboys are probably the most hated franchise across the board. It is crazy how many other fans I know that hate the Cowboys as much as the Eagle fans do.
Yeah, I'll take it next. So, Dutch, I agree with you that Yankees probably get a lot of the hate because they do. They have the 28 rings, but most of them who are true Yankees fans at least know history. They know the history of Babe Ruth, Mickey Mantle, Roger Maris, Joe DiMaggio, Whitey Ford. Like they know all those legends and can tell you all their stories like the back of their hand. And it's the frauds that get to everyone. That like they can tell me who Aaron Judge is and probably couldn't tell me the first World Series Derek Jeter won, and or probably barely know like that more men have been to the moon than Mariano Rivera has given up runs in the postseason. Like it's like stuff like that. That like that's what gets under people's skin. So that's probably why they get a lot of hate, and the fact that they were good. Like no one really. You ever like if you notice this year, no one talks about New England. Like nobody hates New England because they suck.
Yeah.
But everybody hated New England for like what 20 years. Now all of a sudden we're all just like, like that's kind of like how it is this year. That being said, I think there's some teams that don't get enough hate. Like we'll like how many times have you heard, oh, Philly threw snowballs at Santa? But how often have you heard that LA fans are averaging one stabbing of a Giants fan, San Francisco Giants fan each year? Have you heard that stat? Have you heard about it?
I've heard on the show
because I bring it up.
Yeah,
but like you don't hear it like when you watch a national broadcast. Like I have the Dodger game on in the background, and like it's on mute. Like I haven't heard anything about how there's been multiple stabbings this year. I see it on the news. Like when I watch like 6ABC will bring it up or like something like that. But like ESPN doesn't talk about it because God forbid that they piss off either the New York or LA base that they have. Like God forbid we just tell the truth. Like put out a public service announcement. Maybe do your due diligence of tell Dodger fans to stop stabbing San Francisco Giant fans. Stop stabbing Padres fans. Like for Christ's sake, you try to purposely injure an opposing player while like they were on the field. I don't know how many times I have to hear about how we threw batteries at JD Drew. Oh, until the day I die. But yet we're not going to talk about the baseball thrown at Eric Jerks and Profar. Or we're just going to like casually brush that off. Like, really?
Yeah, no, I definitely I'm not being biased at all, but I definitely think the Philadelphia fan base or just the Philadelphia teams in general are put under a microscope. And everyone, no matter what happens, something small, something little, everyone's on it. Oh, AJ Brown was on who was on the podcast? It was Slay was on a podcast with Parsons or whatever. That's going to be said. Anything that they can say negative about Philadelphia teams, that's what everyone lives for. So I definitely agree. I definitely think that Philadelphia in general, all their teams are put under a microscope for sure.
Yeah, it's really sad. Sometimes how the fans give too much tough love, to quote what I said a couple weeks ago with Philly Captain's quote, rather than love. Because it's got to be a balance. And I think sometimes Philly fans lean a little bit too far into that crazy Philly fan, myself included in that. But you know what I mean? Like sometimes you got to remember these people are human beings too. and we don't want to contribute too much into that. Sometimes they do dumb shit. We'll call them out when they do dumb shit. Like tonight, Alec Boehm, that was dumb shit, being a baby. You can't do that. You're a professional athlete, like Tom said, playing a child's game at the end of the day. You're playing baseball, making millions of dollars. So no matter what, there's a professional approach to it, like Brendan said on the post-game show too. Moving along now to our next topic. A bright spot this week for the Birds is Lane Johnson is going to be returning from injury, which will make a drastic difference. I don't remember the exact stat, but when Lane Johnson plays on this team, it frees up a lot of things. It not only frees up more pass protection for Jalen Hurts, but for Saquon Barkley, it's going to open up that entire right side and what they can do, pushing, pulling wise, everything with their tackle, and their flexibility with their guard now too. So the Eagles much needed this. I believe that their right guard is out too. Becton, I think he's out. Still, he may not be back in as far as I know. If he is, that's even better. But the Eagles should come out running the ball is what this tells me. I want to see a minimum of at least 15 carries for Barkley. You're at home. It's a 1:00 game. It's after a bye week, so you're still going to be feeling out everything. You just saw what happened to the Phillies with a bye week. So ease into it is what I'm trying to say. Ease into it. And I think there's not a better player in the NFL to ease into it than Saquon Barkley. If you don't run the ball, if you don't utilize Saquon Barkley and this revamped offensive line as far as injury goes, that's going to be when I really start to say, okay, maybe the Nick Sirianni experiment might be over, because it's going to be interesting to see who do the Jets pick up. The Jets are the first one to put the white flag up and say, hey, we're surrendering. It's over. Now, Bill Belichick.
That wasn't the Jets. That was Aaron Rodgers. That did that.
Sorry,
that
was Coach Rodgers. Coach Rodgers. Jack is right. Coach. Let me make sure I get it right. Coach Rodgers basically said, hey, I'm done with this guy, Salih. We all saw the shove that was supposed to be embracing. So, yeah, as far as that all goes, I think that now it's going to be interesting to see which way did the Jets go, because every Jets fan I know does not want Nathaniel Hackett, their offensive coordinator, as their head coach. We all know how that worked out with the Broncos. Probably don't want to see that again. So Bill Belichick's going to be getting some calls. Some other guys are going to be getting calls. But now it's almost like a race for two teams that feel almost like a train that could get off the track. It could stay on. You don't really know which way it's going to go yet in the Eagles and the Cowboys as far as coaching goes. Like the Eagles and the Cowboys could both very well end up keeping their coaches in the offseason, or they could both end up selling them. So this is really an interesting piece now. And like people have said, it makes Nick Sirianni's job, pressure, and security that much more, and then some. Tom, why don't you go ahead and take this one next? I mean, Lane Johnson coming back, that's going to help out a ton, right?
I hope. It didn't help before the injury that Jalen was fumbling the ball every 2 goddamn seconds. Now, maybe he'll fumble the ball every 3 goddamn seconds. I don't think his backup was that bad. I think Jalen just held the ball back there like a freaking Statue of Liberty, like asking for it to be taken every time. I hope he cleaned that up during the bye week. I hope something, like, I get it. He didn't have all his receivers in Tampa Bay, but my God, man. And maybe run a slant, maybe try to find a hot read, like God. I don't know. I hope it's better.
Yeah.
It can like I know I'm Debbie Downer right now. Like Johnson's great. Johnson was great before he was out. The line was great. I just don't know if it's really going to improve this offense, like you were saying. I think they need to run the ball more. That was disgraceful, not run the ball more. But when you go down 24-0 in the blink of an eye, like, I get it. That's why they had to pretty much throw the ball the whole game. But I get it with Saquon. I should say. They need to run it more with Saquon. Like, I was screaming about it last year with DeAndre Swift. DeAndre Swift looked great behind this. He looked great this past week finally, but he looked like a disaster the first 3 weeks. He's not used to not having giant holes for him anymore. I just don't get it sometimes. Like, this offensive line's so great. And when you have a great line, what's the one thing that you should do? You should run the
damn
ball.
ball. Yeah.
Oh,
No.
and it infuriates me that we're having Jalen drop back 50 times a freaking game. Like, that's what they do. That's what Mike McCarthy does down in Dallas. And they almost lost on Monday night. They should have lost, or Sunday night. I'm sorry. They should have lost on Sunday night. And I don't know, like, run the ball. He's back. You have a fully healthy line. Run the ball. I hope they start chanting like they did last year when they went, what was it, like 1-6 the last 7 games of the season. I remember being there on Christmas Day and people started chanting, "Run the ball, run the ball." Like, they literally bullied him into start running the ball more, and they won that game. Like, they are a disaster. Like, Sirianni's a disaster. We've hit on that enough. Go ahead, Jack. I'm sorry. I'm done.
No, you're good. No, I'll be brief.
Phillies. Sorry.
I'll be brief. I'll be brief. I agree with Tom. I think Lane Johnson replacement played well, but it's a matter of we missed key receivers. We missed our top 2 offensive players, and I think that's where that's why Jalen was holding onto the ball a lot longer than he was previously, because he's not confident in those receivers that we had out there now. So I think with the addition and adding Devontae and AJ Brown hopefully back for this game, I think, we'll be fine. We get the ball out quick. But yeah, I mean, again, like Tony said, if your top 2 offensive players are injured, you got to run the ball. And we have one of the best offensive lines to do that. So I think we won't see that. We'll see a little improvement with Lane Johnson being back, but I think where we were struggling the most when he went down was Devontae Smith and AJ Brown. So that's all I got to say.
Yeah. Now transitioning to our next topic, giving you guys a little bit of a game preview. So very excited. We will be there. Unless tickets are having a hot fire sale and they're selling for like $75 a piece or something undeniable, we are not going to be going into the game. We will be tailgating though, getting up really early and hanging out. But yeah, should be a lot of fun. But the game result really much matters. I mean, when you think about the Browns don't seem like the most intimidating team at first. I know we bust their balls a lot, but they got a lot of good players. And the Eagles' passing defense hasn't been the best either. So Benny was talking about it as far as our fantasy group goes and everything that he does with that. Thank you, Benny, for what you do there. But he was saying that Amari Cooper this week is going to be somebody to watch out for the Eagles, because he's been doing pretty well with the Browns. Him and Deshaun Watson have been kind of finding a groove. So hope that they don't get that going in Philadelphia. Also, I don't know if this has happened yet or not, but Nick Chubb should be coming back anytime soon. I don't know if that's this week or hopefully the Eagles are dodging that bullet. It might have been last week or the past 2 weeks. So they're going to have to go against that. The Browns are really reloading their roster, bringing in the troops at the right time. So Eagles are going to have to go against that. The Browns are a better team than their record shows for, than their roster shows for, I think. And they play gritty. They play gritty football. So I expect this to actually be a pretty good game. I think it's going to be a game that we could see a 2-touchdown win, like we were talking about with Tony on our call-in segment. But I think it could be a game that we won't see that gap until the fourth quarter. I think going into the fourth quarter, it's going to be at least a 1-possession game. I think it's going to be a defensive contest. I think that there's going to be a lot of defense. So be patient, guys. I think the offense is going to be a work in progress this game, because it's like they're going to have all these shiny toys to play with. It's Saquon Barkley now. Lane Johnson's back, so you're going to want to run the ball. Then you got both wide receivers that are apparently both going to be playing in Devontae Smith and A.J. Brown. So you got that. Then you got Dallas Goedert, who just had one of his best games, if not his best game of his career, 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago. So you need to utilize him in a way. So there's so many things for this offense to use. I just hope that they don't overthink it and kind of get overwhelmed or overloaded. Like, You know what I mean? Like a kid with ADHD in Times Square for the first time.
Oh,
You're just overwhelmed by all the shit.
So you, Dalton.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of what the word is that they use for it. Not like overwhelmed.
Overstimulated.
Overstimulated. Yes.
No, I agree with Dalton, but this is a statement game. We need to kick the living shit out of these Browns. Tony said this team is rubble right now. The Brown team is rubble. They aren't a good team. Deshaun Watson isn't playing well at all. So this needs to be a statement game for the Eagles coming off the bye. We have all of our players back. All the injuries we had, we're back now. So we need to both ways. Defense needs to stop the run. We need to cover the players going deep or slant routes. We need to work as a well-oiled machine all 4 quarters, not one half defense and then the other half offense. It has to be all 4 quarters because our team, the Eagles, are way better than the Browns. We have Saquon freaking Barkley. Lane Johnson's back. A.J. Brown's back. Devontae Smith's back. Dallas Goedert's still there. Jalen Hurts needs to fucking figure it out because if we lose this game to the fucking Browns, then our season's done. So this is a statement game. We need to beat this Browns team by at least 3 touchdowns. By at least 2 touchdowns because we are way better at all assets of our team. So this needs to be a statement game, and we need to kick the living shit out of the Browns.
Tommy?
Huff, do something.
I need this to be an absolute ass kicking, Dutch, is what I need it to be. And because I need it to be that way, they're gonna lose. That's just kind of how it works.
Well said.
Like everybody else is kicking the shit out of the Browns. I remember the year that the Lions didn't win a single game with Dan Orlovsky. He back there as the quarterback, and the Eagles almost lost to that team. I also remember the year that Miami was still 0-10. I think they eventually did win a game that year though. They won 2 games or something like that. And their first win almost came against the Eagles. It feels like a trap game. We were supposed to kick the shit out of the Falcons. And we let Cole's Cash Kurt kick our ass. As his Midwestern mom, attitude did. You kidding me? He was a statue back there the whole game. We couldn't even get a rush on him. So I wouldn't be surprised if Deshaun Watson all of a sudden turns into how Baker Mayfield looked last week. And he's just slicing up our defense because he can stand there like the Statue of frickin' Liberty. All that being said, I hope with a healthy team, I'm absolutely wrong. I hope by Sunday, I am jumping up and down for Philly sports again. I hope I am through the roof. I just hope this team does better. They've been a massive disappointment already this season. We thought they might turn it around. They couldn't sack Sister Jean. Sister Jean would slice up this defense with the amount of pressure they put on the quarterback each week. I hope AJ Brown's back. I'm glad he didn't rush back his hamstring injury for that disaster, for that shit show last week. It would have done us more harm than good. So I hope we have a healthy AJ Brown this week and he goes the fuck off. I hope Bryce Huff decides he remembers how to sack a quarterback again. I hope Josh Sweat learns how to sack a quarterback again. I hope Jalen Carter and Jordan Davis learn some consistency. Who's that corner we drafted? Who's been an outside corner?
Quinyon Mitchell?
Yeah, he's been the only stud on that defense. And every quarterback wants to go after him because he's the rookie. He's the unproven guy. And he stepped the fuck up. He's been a stud, that guy.
Yeah.
He's the only guy I have a bright spot for right now. Well, I shouldn't say that. Him and Saquon, I have bright spots for. Jalen looks like 2020 Carson Wentz. What makes it worse is Carson at least didn't have a receiving core. He's got a great receiving core, Jalen. He's got Devontae Smith and A.J. Brown, and looks like 2020 Carson Wentz. That's what scares me. He's starting to regress. He was progressing. He was meeting with specialty quarterbacks coaches, all that stuff, and he can't even, I don't know, he can't even complete it down the field anymore. And it's the saddest thing, seeing another quarterback that we paid absolutely flop. Like, everybody's got a short expiration window at quarterback in Philadelphia anymore. Or they get 3 years, and once they're off their rookie contract, they blow. I wouldn't pay another quarterback after Jalen.
Or they can't take the fans. I mean, and it's our own toxic crypt. It's like our own double-edged sword. It just sucks being a Philly fan because it's not us. You know what I mean? Like, people like us know how to tone it down, and every fan base has it. It just sucks that Philadelphia is unfortunately the team and the fandom that's mostly lumped into that category of, oh, these guys are too hard on their players or this and that. Look, I don't want to drag this thing out too much because I know a lot of people on the show, Tom especially, he's on double duty tonight with the Phillies post-game show. And then here I've been podcasting for almost an hour and a half now, or over it. But I do want to stop the podcast tonight on a little bit more of an upbeat and positive note. It's the Philly fandom. I just sent the meme, I think, to the group chat. But it's okay. At least the Sixers start soon. At least the Flyers start soon. At least the Phillies start soon. At least the Eagles start soon. It's just a recurring cycle of looping us back in and doing it.
The Sixers.
But this time, I will say, the Flyers are probably going to have one of their biggest attendances this season because everybody's so spent and pissed off and upset with every other Philly sports team. And they've been so let down by that team in the past 3 years. Like, all three have let down the fans one way or another in the past 3 years, that people are going to kind of, I think, crave something different. They're going to want something different to get excited about. They're going to want to watch a team that almost has no expectations. You know what I mean? So that when they do fucking pop off, when they do something exciting, it's actually going to be that more exciting and then some, because there is no expectation. There is no, you know what I mean? You're supposed to do this. Tom, you said it earlier in the show. When we were in college, the Phillies were that team. Now they are this team. So it's like, yeah, we're meant to be not only in the playoffs, we're meant to be in the damn World Series. And we just lost first round in the playoffs. The Eagles, same thing. Eagles roster-wise, they are meant to be in the Super Bowl, not the NFC Championship, the Super Bowl. They're meant to be in the Super Bowl this year. So if they don't do it, we're going to be let down. The Sixers, we know fucking better not to invest our emotion or feelings into those bastards, but they even should do better this year. We're still not going to hope that they make even the playoffs, probably, because we're better than that. But I'm trying to say, I think the Flyers are actually going to have a good opportunity for the first time in a couple of years to sell a lot of tickets, because fans are going to be craving a different kind of fandom. And that kid, Mishkov, he had a great preseason. He looked exceptional. The way that he puts the puck in the back of the net for only being 19 years old, the way that he skates up and down the ice, he looks like a veteran. He looks like a professional. And his decision-making, from what I've seen and heard from the rest of the team, is exceptional as well. So I think for Flyers fans, get ready to see, I guess, is he going to be wearing number 39, is it, Tom?
I think so. I forget what his number is.
A lot of 39 jerseys going to be coming to Wells Fargo this year. I might go buy one tonight.
I hope he's going to be our Wayne Gretzky, our Sidney Crosby, our young phenom. Like, that's what this kid's supposed to be. I'm tired of us getting these guys that everybody said is a shoo-in and then them being a bust. So, to end it on to finally be positive, if this kid has looked like a stud. He's like out skating everyone in preseason. I get it. We're not seeing the Ovechkins or the Connor McDavids out there during preseason, but like he's still going to be skating against a lot of those guys, a lot of the second and third and even fourth liners out there at some point in the season. And at some point, some coach is going to get pissed off about his fourth line out there just to try to crush him. So he thinks twice about skating with some speed on the ice, like for anything. Like I don't know, like that, that he's doing what we were hoping he would do in the preseason is a good sign. Do I think he's going to set a record for goals this year? No, but like I think he'll have if he has a solid season, like he plays to the point we were debating whether or not he should have been an all-star and saying he got gypped at the all-star break because he wasn't an all-star, I'll be happy. Like that's kind of like the expectation I have this year. I think they played above their heads last year, even getting that close to a playoff spot on, I think it was the second to last day of the season, maybe third to last. Like they have it, like they shouldn't have even been that close. They were supposed to be like, as much as like I was upset because it was like, oh, they collapsed at the end. They weren't even supposed, like they were projected to be what the White Sox were in baseball. Like that's what they were supposed to be last year. And they weren't. They were very close to a playoff spot. So I'm glad they played above their heads. I hope they play above their heads again this year. I don't think it will happen. I think if they get close to a playoff spot, that's where the progression should have been. Like where they ended last year is where they should end this year, is like kind of like that expectation. Like if they didn't improve at all, I'd be fine with that because that's playing at where you should have been and not above where you should be, type of thing. Like that's just how I feel about them. That being said, like they could make the playoffs. I get it. They don't have like a phenom goalie in Carter Hart anymore, or they had to get rid of him for his various reasons. To say the least. He's a scumbag.
Yep, fuck that guy.
But the guy they got from Russia at the end of the season, now that he's had a full preseason, well, he didn't have a full preseason because he was holding out, thinking about going back to the KHL. That being, although he at least had some time with the team this year instead of like just kind of being thrown in there. So I'm kind of excited to see what he does. Sam Harrison, second year now. He was really good, and then he just like fell off because I think he wasn't used to the workload of a full NHL season. So I'm kind of excited to see him too. So I don't know. They'll do better this year, or they'll probably do about the same this year. But if they were to make the playoffs, it's like, you know what? If all this pain was to get a Flyers Stanley Cup, I'll take it because you know what? We deserve something.
Mm-hmm.
I'm tired of hearing how Mets fans had to endure pain. I mean, they made the playoffs multiple times, made it to a World Series, all before we made it back to the playoffs in 10 years. They did not suffer. We have suffered as Philly fans. And then we finally think that this is it. After suffering for 10 or more years, that this is it. This is our time. I'm in the most embarrassing way, gets taken from us all the time. And you know what? It might be our turn to finally be like, you know what? We might not deserve this, but you know what? I'll take it because you know what? All the pain we've had to endure.
Jack?
Yeah, I mean, the only thing I got to say is I'm not expecting much out of this team because that's what kind of worked out last year for these Flyers. None of the fans really expected much, and they, almost made it to the playoffs. So I think let's not have expectations and just let the season kind of play out how it's going to. But yeah, Mitch Cobb, I mean, great addition to the team, and I'm excited to go to a few games this year to watch him play in person. That's all I got to say.
Yeah. I mean, it's been an emotional roller coaster the past 2 years, like Tom just alluded to. It's been an emotional roller coaster the past 48 hours. guys, take a deep breath. Keep your heads high. It's not over. It ain't over ever as being a fucking Philly sports fan. It's a lifelong commitment that you're born into. So for you young Philly sports fans that are like really upset, buckle up. That's all I'm going to say, because it's not going to get...
It's always pain.
It's
There's
always
never
pain.
Joy.
You
There's
might get
never
one
joy.
more or another one throughout your lifetime. Enjoy it. Enjoy it if you see another one, because when you see another one, we should. I don't know when it's going to come, though. One of the teams are going to do it. And like Tom said, if it is the Flyers, I love the way Tom put it. We don't deserve this, but I'll take it. Like, that's kind of the way you got to be in sports sometimes. You got to seize your opportunity when it's in front of you. Unfortunately, some Philly sports teams don't know how to do that. I'm not going to sit here and whine any longer. That's all we got as far as I'm concerned. We will see you guys on Sunday at the tailgate. So please come hang out with Jack, Brandon, and I. And if you guys want to, I would say cop some Red October merch, but I won't ask you to spend your money on it anymore unless you want it for next year. But I don't want to be that guy. So go look at our store. We got a ton of Halloween merch and other stuff on there that you guys can cop that we work really hard on. And come party with us at the tailgate this weekend. If I see any of you guys rocking the stuff under your jersey or something, I will be hyped up. But no trivia tonight either. We will resume with that next week. But go ahead and take us out of here, Jack.
Yeah, no, a few things. Let's go Birds. This is an important game coming off the bye, and let's get that dub. This is a pivotal game that we need to win. And also on a more lighter note, darker note, please keep your prayers for the people in Florida. They're going through a lot of shit right now with Hurricane Milton. So just everyone – Phillies lost, but just remember that there's worse things going on in the world, and just count your blessings. Without further ado, hey, Josh, it's an outro, not an intro. Hit that motherfucking outro.
What we got? 302BIRDS, United States. Go Birds.
Oh my gosh, chat.
Your favorite Chicagoan. Go Phils.
As always, God bless. Go Birds.